Hey everybody, it's New Year's Eve, and in this video I'm going to talk about becoming an entrepreneur. So first of all, cheers. Now I was only supposed to use that cup for my Python video, but I like it so much. It's such a great cup. Anyway, people who've been following my channel know I've been coding for about 22 years, since 94, 95, but I've been an entrepreneur for a few years longer. So I'm in my 40s, so I've been an entrepreneur since I've been 18. You can do the math, 26, 27, 28 years, something like that. When you get old like me, you forget, the years go by like days, right? And you start forgetting things. And the reason the years go, anyway, I'll get into the tips. So I'm going to talk about becoming an entrepreneur, how to do it, what you can expect. Now, this, I could go on for many videos and write 2 books on it. So what I'm going to do in this video is just give you a quick introduction, a quick taste, so you have an understanding of what it's all about. Though I'm a nerd who has tons of computers, I still, well, 3, 4, I still write notes. I love writing notes on paper because when you write notes on paper, it helps you to remember things, and it's just a lot easier for me in many respects. Although I do have a Surface Pro 4, which is an amazing tablet, and you can take notes on that as well. But if I drop my notebook, I don't break it, so I kind of like that. All right, let's get to the point. So, yeah, so according to my calculations, I've been an entrepreneur for 28 years, believe it or not. And it took me several years. It took me a decade where I got to the point where I went into, we'll just say, semi-retirement. We'll leave it at that. I don't like to talk about incomes and wealth and all this kind of stuff because it's just bad policy in general. So when you start making money and good money, be quiet, because there's no advantage for you to tell people, even your friends, especially your friends and family. So that's your first lesson. Number 2, I started with $200 to my name. I didn't put $200 in the business. I had $200 to my name and an old mattress. I started when I was 18, and I got no money from my parents, and I got no contacts from my parents, and I was living on my own when I was 17 or 18, and I was supporting myself as a bouncer in a nightclub, and I worked 3 nights a week, and that's all I was earning as I was going to school. So at one point I had to make a decision between becoming an entrepreneur or accelerating my little business rather, versus continuing in university when I was like 19 or 20. But anyway, I started when I was about 18. When I was 18, I started my very first business. It was an import-export business. It had nothing to do with technology. And this is a good thing, because if you're just in one type of business, then you only have one point of view. But if you've done several different types of businesses, I've done a few, it gives you perspective, and then you start to identify those universal principles or those universalities across all types of businesses. So that's an important thing. So let's just get into some realities about entrepreneurial. Let me say that again. Let's get into some realities about being an entrepreneur. So first of all, expect to work much longer hours. Don't become an entrepreneur because you think it's going to be simple and easy. You're going to work less hours. When you become successful later on, for sure. But initially, until you get the thing going, it's going to take a lot more work. So do something you find interesting, because if you don't find it fun, it's going to be like pulling teeth the whole time through. As an entrepreneur, you're going to have to learn how to become very good at money management, knowing when not to spend money. In fact, you shouldn't spend money unless you absolutely have to. Now, there's a formula for this I've come up with, but I won't give it to you in here because I just want to give you a quick run through in this video on the eve of New Year's Eve in 2017. You're going to have to be a self-starter. Entrepreneurs have to be somewhat disciplined in that you have to become a self-starter. You have to push yourself sometimes to do work. Now, when you become an entrepreneur, try to choose some business or some business model, some business way of working that goes with your personality, so that it's not like work for you. It's something that you enjoy to do. It's like for me, doing these YouTube videos, it's not really my business, as you know. This is a hobby. At this time, I'm not monetizing, and I haven't monetized for years since the YouTube channel has been up. And I might start doing it, soon to maybe help pay for some computers and stuff. I don't know. But I don't monetize on YouTube, but I still do YouTube videos because it's something I enjoy doing. And as I did a previous video about why I do my YouTube videos, one of the reasons it allows me to practice in my ability to deliver. It's taken me years to become comfortable in front of the camera. I was so self-conscious. I was terrible. Not that I'm great now, but you get the idea. So you have to enjoy what you're doing. You have to be motivated and not, it shouldn't be a question of force of will to have to get your work done for your business. It has to be something you're motivated to do. It's something you'd rather do than, hang out with your buddies and having a beer. In fact, right now I'm doing this video where I'm on New Year's Eve. I have friends who are at, they're at late, early dinner parties now, or late lunch parties. And I said, I'd rather stay home. As an entrepreneur, you're going to have to learn to be consistent, in that a lot of what you do, especially in the beginning, you won't see immediate results. It's not like when you go work for somebody, you get your 2 weeks, you get your pay. A lot of times entrepreneurial activity require years, months and months, if not years, before you actually start seeing the payoff. And that's important. Studio Web, it didn't get its first school until after over a year, and it's been very slow because the whole education business is a slow business. And also I held back that business because I wanted to make sure the Studio Web app and the courses were good for schools, because when you're teaching in schools, it's a whole different thing than teaching just standard videos for adults, and it's another story. So you have to be consistent where you don't necessarily expect a payoff immediately. Brings me to my next point. You have to be patient. Patience is a virtue in life, but it's especially so in business. There's something called deferment of gratification. Now, in psychology, they've learned a long time ago. I studied psychology in university. That was my major. If you wanted to measure who will be more successful in life, they did it with all these kids. They found that the kids who were able to defer gratification, meaning who didn't need a payoff right away, they ended up, it was a study over like 30 years or 40 years or something, they ended up finding that kids who were able to defer gratification, they were in the end far more successful. And that's a big part about being entrepreneurs, being able to think of the medium term and the long term, to not absolutely need that payoff or gratification right away. That's key. You don't have that, you might as well just become an employee. And there's nothing wrong with being an employee. It's a different lifestyle. But I'm just letting you know. As an entrepreneur, a lot of the process is a process of trial and error. So you're going to have to learn to accept that you are wrong. And you will be wrong often, especially in the beginning. You have to take that ego you have, and you have to have a certain amount of ego to want to even step into the breach to become an entrepreneur, to get in the ring, which I respect. I respect people who try to be entrepreneurs and fail so much, because at least they had the guts to try, right? Even if they fail, that's fine. That's great. You had the guts to try. So as an entrepreneur, you have to accept that you will have failures, many of them. You also have to accept that your initial opinions and ideas can be wrong, and many will be. That's a very important thing. Your goal should not be to prove yourself right. Your goal should be to get the job done. Your goal should be to accomplish your goals. That's all. And your goal should be set up as a series of tasks and things you need to do that will eventually get you to where you want to be. And that is, I suppose, financial success. But in the end, it's not the financial success. Well, I'm going to lie. Money's good. But there's much more to it in terms of personal gratification in an entrepreneurial lifestyle, much more than the money. And that is the knowledge that you've built a system, you've built a mechanism, the business, that does something and helps people and gives back. The best businesses are the businesses where everybody concerned in the transaction, you as the vendor or the product or service provider, and the client and everybody else involved benefit from this transaction. That's the great thing, because first of all, it makes you feel good as a human being, and second of all, you'll see that it leads to long-term business opportunities and relationships, and that's how you build. You build based on goodwill that you create by being an honest person, by delivering value to your clients. That's a huge part of it. So to summarize, to be an entrepreneur is a difficult path, especially in the beginning. But in the end, it's far more rewarding because you're able to express your personality, you're able to express your will. And there's a line from the original Star Trek series from the 70s, no, from the 60s, in fact, that I used to watch when I was a kid in reruns. I'm not that old. And it was a line from his character named Khan, and it was stolen from a book, Dante's Inferno. So I never read the original book, but I got the line from Star Trek. That proves I'm a nerd, right? And the line is, one of the characters says, he quotes Dante's Inferno, says, better to rule in hell than serve in heaven. And this was a reference to, when Satan gets thrown down into the abyss, into hell, he screams back at God, better to rule in hell than serve in heaven. And now I'm not trying to be religious here, but I'm making a point that at times being an entrepreneur can be pretty stressful and tasking, because you don't know when you're going to get paid, and you're trying to come up with ideas, and you're always putting out fires. It's kind of hellish for a lot of people. But if you can learn to embrace it like a good fight, when I used to box, I used to love getting in there. You can get your nose broken and stuff, but it's actually a lot of fun once you get into it. So entrepreneurial lifestyle can be like that, where you're the ruler, but sometimes you're ruling over hell, and but then it becomes pretty good after a while. So just understand, I'm not trying to dissuade you. I'm trying to give you just a reality check about what it's all about. I encourage you to do it, because even if you fail, especially if you're younger, especially if you're in your 20s or early 30s, and you don't have any kids, you got no responsibilities, this is the time to do it. Not when you're 50, 60, 70, when you got kids and stuff. Not that I'm saying don't do it at 50, 60, 70, because some people have been very successful in later years as entrepreneurs. Going back a long time, like Colonel Sanders, KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken guy, he didn't make his money until 65. And then there's this billionaire T. Boone Pickens, who was broke in his 60s or 70s, and he came back and became a billionaire again. So don't let necessarily age put you off. But especially if you are younger and you're teens and you got no responsibilities, no debts, now's the time to do it, because you have plenty of time to mess up. All right, that's it. That's the end of this video. And happy 2017 and going forward. This is I'm recording this on New Year's Eve, 2016. So ciao. Bye-bye.